Welcome to Candlewick Library. I'm Cheryl, and today I'm sharing our 2024 to 2025 school year curriculum. This video is very late. I planned on putting this out in August before we started school, but I just had so many things going on with the Harry Potter readathon that I had other videos I needed to get out first, and so I've kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. Finally, I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk too much about my oldest daughter because she's not having a new school year. She's just finishing up her school year to graduate. But my younger daughter is 14 and she is just started 9th grade. I have this binder first. This is my main binder for school, Foxhall Academy. That is what we call our school. And our little mascot, the little fox with books. In here, I keep track of our calendar for the year and then all of the subjects that we do as a family, and then the subjects each kid does individually. And I have these planning pages. I'm going to try to show one of them that hasn't been filled out yet. I haven't yet picked all of the read alouds for this school year, so this page is empty. But I got these pages from Master Books. Master Books has a packet of different things. It has transcripts, it has pages to fill out for each year, for each grade, and then it has planning pages like this. And so I print them out every year and I fill this out for the school year for every subject that we do. During our summer break, I plan out all of our subjects and I write them in here to make sure I know how far they're going to go, make sure we'll be able to do it in the amount of time that we need. And then throughout the school year, I come to these main planning pages and then put those into my regular planner. And then my daughters have a notebook that has their weekly work in it. And so every Sunday I take out my planner and put the things that are their individual things into their little checklist for the week. That's a lot of planning. It is who I am. It's how it has to be done with me. But I did realize over the last year that there was, life happens, and there were so many times when I written something in my normal planner and I had to go back and change it, move things forward. And so now I'm doing only 2 weeks at a time from this big binder into my normal planner. And so far that has worked really well. So in here I have, like I said, all of the subjects that we do. So I'll go through them and put up a picture of some of the curriculum if I can find a good picture of it. Last year we started a nutrition course. We'll be finishing that by the middle to end of November while my oldest daughter is still with us. So that's something we do together every week. We do it once a week. Another thing that we do once a week is biblical archaeology. This is a course from Master Books. We started last September and we'll be finishing it also in November. We would have been able to go through it a little bit quicker, but we only do this one once a week as well. My parents come over and take the class with us, which is so much fun. The course has 3 books, and then there are worksheets that go along with each book. So we read the chapters, we fill out the worksheets. It's covered Egyptian history, all the different pharaohs. It's covered biblical archaeology, kings of Israel. It is very comprehensive course. I have learned a lot, and I know everybody else has. I know my parents have said that they have. It's a course I've really enjoyed doing with everybody. For history, we have actually been doing a unit study on just the medieval times, but we will be finishing that in about a week. We started it at the end of the last school year. We haven't done everything in it because it was kind of a younger curriculum. And it's one of those curriculums that has really, really good information, but then has a ton of activities. And if you were doing that as your main curriculum for a whole year, especially with younger kids, that way would be such a fun curriculum. But I knew we just kind of wanted the meat of it, just the information. And so we haven't done all the extra stuff. For our main history, we've been using Not Grass History, and we started it about a year ago as well, From Adam to Us. We'll be finishing that up in the next couple of months as well. I have really enjoyed their history. It's the first time we used Not Grass, and I've really liked it. We won't be doing any of their history for the rest of the school year with my 9th grader because her geography has history in it as well. And so for the rest of 9th grade, we will just be focusing on only the geography. And then next year for 10th grade, then we'll get into a U.S. history course. So Not Grass History for a couple of months, and then we will be done with it. And then as far as that geography goes, we are using Master Books Geography. And this is, again, one of those things that's a little bit geared toward younger children. but it has a lot of really good information. I have learned a lot from it as an adult. And so again, we pick and choose with the activities. Some of the activities are skewed younger and some of them are perfect for 9th grade and above. So we kind of just pick and choose what we're doing. Right now we're finishing up the Medieval Kingdoms one. We'll be done with that again in November. And then the one she'll be doing after that is Vikings. These geography courses have a lot of history, so we'll be finishing that by the end of the year, and then we'll be done with their whole series. Every week we try to do a tea time of some kind. It used to be poetry tea time, but it's not always poetry tea time. So now I tend to just call it tea time. I don't have the whole year planned out yet, but I have planned at least until November. We will be doing some poetry, but we're also going to be reading Shakespeare. So we're going to be reading through Much Ado About Nothing. We're going to be reading As You Like It, Twelfth Night, and Winter's Tale. So those are the ones we'll get through in the next couple of months, along with some poetry sprinkled in. And usually what we try to do is have some kind of treat. We try to bake something that has a theme with whatever season we're in. It's not usually tea. Sometimes it has been. It's usually hot chocolate. I got these things on Amazon that are like kind of like the Crystal Light packets that are lemonade and stuff, but they're one that doesn't have any food dye or anything like that in it. And it has been really good. We usually have those in our little tea kettle. Sometimes we'll throw in an art study, composer study, things like that. I just haven't planned out the whole year, but I do know Shakespeare we're using. For our Bible study every day, we have been going through Foundations in Faith. It's by Israel Wayne, and it's put out through Master Books. The one we've been using for the last couple of years is the Bible study put out by Answers in Genesis, and I actually like that even better. This one is more about church history and kind of core concepts in the church, and I do like it. I'm trying to really familiarize my daughters with the Bible in a way that they weren't before. And so the Answers in Genesis really helped that because we were going through the Bible chronologically, but the 4th year had not come out yet. And so I bought this one while we were waiting for it. And I do have it now, but I wanted to finish this one before we started it. But then my oldest daughter will be done. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start using the 4th year as a family. And as soon as we finish the Genesis study we've been doing as a family on Sundays, that we will start doing the year 4 of the Answers in Genesis Bible study, so that both of them will still be there for that. And then I'm not sure what I will do with my youngest during school. So if you have any suggestions for really good 9th grade level Bible study that's very strong biblical, let me know. I wasn't going to touch too much on my oldest daughter, but I guess I can say what she's finishing up. She's finishing up a civics course that's a government course from Knotgrass. She's finishing up her science. I think I've mentioned before that I got the anatomy and physiology course from Master Books for her science, and it is 2 years, but I've had her doing it since last September. She's almost done with that, and we're just having her do it really fast so that she would be able to do both years in 1 year. But she's finishing up those 2 things, and then I'm still just giving her literature. And then she's going to be preparing for ACT as well. For my 9th grader, she's a strong reader, but she doesn't like to read. I really struggled this year trying to decide what literature I wanted to do for her. She hasn't really enjoyed a lot of the language arts courses that we've done, and I had a hard time finding one that I felt like was a good, strong language arts course that had books that she would actually enjoy that won't just make this worse. Because part of the problem is that we used The Good and the Beautiful for a very long time. I think that the curriculum is good. The book choices were not books that appealed to her at all. She did go from a child who enjoyed reading to somebody who doesn't enjoy reading. I think it's partly personality and interests, but it's also because all of her literature that she was having to read were books that she did not enjoy. And so it became something that was a task for her. And I just really wanted it to be fun for her this year. So over the last year, I tried to do some really fun things. Some of them she liked, some of them she didn't. But I know she likes Harry Potter because we've read them together as a family. And so I decided that over the next 2 years that she would read slowly through the whole Harry Potter series for the first time on her own. And I would do the deep dives I've been doing and learning things so that there would be a lot of information. And then I would add in things that I knew she would enjoy into the learning into each book. For example, so I'm going to try to show you kind of what I've put together. So this is her Harry Potter binder. This is a drawing that J.K. Rowling made. I got a workbook off of Amazon that had a couple of activities that I'm using. Like, she renames the chapters. It had discussion questions for each chapter. So the way I started the literature is I wrote up information. There's a bunch of information on J.K. Rowling, on her inspirations for the book. Basically, some of the things I've talked about in some of my Harry Potter videos, but more. There's about 30 pages that go through the places that J.K. Rowling drew inspiration, about Harry Potter, about different locations that are in the book, all of that. And so that was something that she read through first. And then I have each chapter for the Philosopher's Stone or Sorcerer's Stone, and I talk about it. I have information about the Dursleys that J.K. Rowling had extra information on. There's a few pages of that, and then information about the chapter. So some of the chapters have hardly any information that's extra. Some of them have a lot. And then each section ends with assignments. So for example, for the first chapter, she had to write in her Hogwarts notebook. So I gave her a little notebook, and in that is where she answered the discussion questions. I copied out the discussion questions out of the workbook and then put them on different colored paper. And so she goes to those and answers them in her notebook. And this is something that she doesn't have to make very formal. It doesn't have to be essay form. It doesn't have to even be full sentences. It can just be the answer, as it would be if she was filling out a worksheet or something. And then that way it doesn't become something that is bogging her down, something that she is dreading doing. It's just quick answers. Make sure you understood what happened in the chapter. And then number 2 was draw a picture of Albus Dumbledore using your imagination and the description on page 9. And then I put the description there. And so she also has a sketchbook. So she got this binder. She got a cute little white cat because she had said that if she was picking an animal, it would have been a white cat. So I got her a little stuffed animal. And then she has her Hogwarts notebook for notes. And she has her sketchbook for drawing because she's an amazing artist. I am so glad I decided to add that to this curriculum because so far she's drawn Albus Dumbledore and Harry Potter, and both of them have been so good, and I just love them. Like, I want to frame them and put them on my walls in my library. Occasionally there'll be an extra activity in here. There'll be like designing your own Weasley Christmas jumper. There's vocabulary as well. So occasionally a chapter will have a worksheet that is for the last couple of chapters that are vocabulary words that she has to do activities with. And then at the very end, I kind of brought it all together, a lot of the information from the beginning and information from this. It was really easy because she's, like I said, she's read them with us before. We've read them as a family. I didn't run the risk of spoiling. Some of the information I didn't want to share. I can't share on videos as much because it's huge spoilers for later books. And if she was reading them for the first time, I wouldn't be able to be giving her as much information as I am. But because she already knows the story, then I could do that. And so it brings up some of that information. And then there's a test at the end that was from that workbook. I'm not quite sure where the one is right now that I used for that one, but this is the one for the second book, The Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And like I said, I just found that on Amazon. So that covers her literature, some art, vocabulary, and I think it'll be a lot more fun. I'm hoping she'll enjoy it. And then she is finishing up her last spelling curriculum. And then her grammar was actually created by my oldest daughter. She's very strong in grammar. And so she put together a grammar curriculum using the Good and the Beautiful high school units that she used. She kind of is using their scope and sequence, what order they did things in, to kind of help her to put it together. But then she's creating it all herself. She's writing stories in it. She's making up the activities, and using things that they both have in common that they like, so that it is completely made to the interests of my youngest daughter. I mentioned that once I should have her do that, and she got really excited. That has just started, and so I don't know if that will be the whole year, if it'll be into further years, but for right now, her grammar is a grammar that my oldest daughter is creating. So it's not something she's selling. It's not something I can recommend from anywhere, but that's what she's using. And then she's continuing her math from Matthew C. that we got last year. She's still working on that. Her science, she's finishing up her science from Master Books, that is the Earth Science one. And she's on the last book right now about oceans, and she'll be finishing that at the end of September. I need to put together her new science for 9th grade, and that is zoology. So she's going to be doing zoology. We got some books from Master Books, but their zoology was a very young zoology, and it had some really good resources with it, but the curriculum itself was a little bit too young for her. I decided to get the books that I liked from it, and then I got Zoologists and Zoology from Campfire Curriculum. We've never used them before, but it looks great. So I've printed all that out and have that ready, and now I just need to add in some of the other things that I've bought as well to put in with that curriculum. So she'll be doing zoology the rest of the year. She does love animals, so I think she'll enjoy that a lot. The past school year has been so crazy because of how we decided to make it go longer and then changed our mind with her. She will be on track to finish everything that we're doing and starting by the end of her 9th grade, early next summer. And then my older daughter will be graduating soon, which is just crazy. I can't believe I'm only going to have one kid that I'm homeschooling, and we'll be done in a few years. I don't like that idea too much. So let me know if you have any questions about any of this curriculum, or if you have any recommendations of some of the things I talked about.